Hi friends, it's Deanna Willison with Our Blooming Catholic Life, and I'm back with another one of my used bookstore finds. Ta-da! It was a Butler's Lives of the Saints, Concise edition, revised and updated. And I got this chunky monkey for just $8. It's a lot for a used book, this particular used bookstore, but I mean, look at it. And it's a Butler's Lives of the Saints. This is edited by Michael Walsh. I was pretty excited. I'm going to dive into it for the first time here with you. It says in here, handwritten from Chris. Thanks, Chris. I don't know who you gave it to, but they decided to pass it on to us through donating it to the used bookstore or selling it. I don't know. I'm pretty excited. This is foreword by Cardinal Basil Hume, OSB, Archbishop of Westminster. It was originally published by Harper San Francisco, which was a division of HarperCollins Publishers. This was copyrighted in 1956, 1985, and 1991. The foreword was copyrighted in 1981 and 1985. The photo typeset was by Scribe Design, Gillingham, Kent. It was originally published, the unrevised and condensed, in 1756 through 9. The revised edition in 4 volumes was published in 1926 to 38. The second edition of that revision, on which this volume is based, was published in 1956, and a further printing with additions and corrections was done in 1966. That edition was reprinted in 1981 and 82. This concise edition that I have here in my hands was published in 1985 and revised and updated in 1991. Now, do I know what all those revisions and corrections were? Sadly, no. I have to hope they're all good. And here we have our Nihil Obstat is by Anton Conwin Censor. The Imprimatur was by Monsignor John Crowley, V.G. And Westminster, 15th of August, 1984, Feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Well, where it's reserved, it was actually printed in the United States. Whew, the foreword isn't too long, so let's give it a quick read. We live in a sophisticated, if not cynical age in which the former certainties of faith, which brought comfort to so many, are now widely questioned. But surely a living faith can have no absolute certainties. Which of us has matured in religious belief without having experienced any intellectual difficulty? Faith, by very definition, grows through a constant, indeed daily process, whereby doubts, old and new, must ever be conquered afresh. This is the daily conversion that Franciscans talk about. So far, we're good. The growth in faith can be helped by stories and legends of the saints. This is why secular Franciscans are called to read a biography of St. Francis every year. And some of those biographies, we know, may be a little whack, but if you're reading at least one a year, you're going to balance that out. And also we have the Franciscan chunky monkeys, the early documents, right? Okay, wait, let's jump back in. This growth in faith can be helped by stories and legends of the saints. Some of these members of the Church in Glory who were commemorated liturgically in former days are rather forgotten today. A lot of people have been taken off the calendar, right? Yikes. And so we don't hear about them quite as often. And if you're not doing the liturgy of the hours, especially the office of readings, you're really not hearing about saints in the way you used to do. But they still have much to teach us, the book tells us. Furthermore, the lives of good men and women can, and often are, an inspiration to us. Happily, their memory is recorded in one of the great classic works on Christian sainthood, Butler's Lives of the Saints. The heroic men and women described and speculated upon in this book have bequeathed to us an inspiration that transcends ordinary history. It is not surprising, though, that it should be a demand today for concise editions of Butler's Lives to form both an introduction to and a foretaste of the complete work. Oh, you sneaky Archbishop! He's telling us this concise edition is like a gateway for you to enter in reading the whole thing. Aha! Good man. For this present generation seems to be seeking not the letter which kills, but the spirit which awakens. The concise edition, then, is welcome, not least because of the curiously attractive echoes of its original 18th century style. The modern re-editing, moreover, tends to belie the modest comment of Father Hubert Thurston, who edited the first edition of Butler's Lives in this century, that the book is not intended for scholars. I hope that many people will find inspiration in reading it. Beautiful introduction. Lovely. Great. And I do think a concise one is something that perhaps you can read Look how short some of these are. You could read one of these every day, whether you do it first thing in the morning or last thing at night. Reading A Life of the Saint, you could do it at lunch. Just incorporate this into your prayer life. Get through this book. It's going to take you a minute, but perhaps you'll find something else. We then have the editor's introduction, which is 3 pages. That's 3 sides of a page, and including the note to the second edition. Why they did this. They decided upon the revised version rather than a reprint to take account of the changes in the calendar of saints over the last few years. It says the present pope, and that's in 1990, has canonized almost as many saints as all his predecessors put together. It is impossible to include all of them. Some share a feast day. The feast of others fall on a day allotted to someone who cannot possibly be omitted. The new entries amount to 20, most of them saints recently added to the calendar, but including Thomas More. I had originally chosen John Fisher as the lesser known of the 2 English martyrs canonized 1935 for the day they share, but reviewers clearly thought that a mistake, and I tend to agree with them. The opportunity has also been taken to correct a number of typographical errors. So I'm going to let you read through this. There are a number of other editions of books of saints that you may like, and it introduces you that there. They're letting you know at one point the large work had over 2,500 entries. What? Okay. And it talks about a lot of the changes, so we don't need to get into that here. We want to see the book. We've already read. Now we finally hit the table of contents. So the saints are broken up by dates, so you could easily do this throughout the year as a calendar edition. You could follow right along or do it any way you please. Let's see here. Yep, goes through December. I'm curious about February. Did they have? They do have the 28th. So all the days are here. In the back it tells you that there is a list of patron saints and an index of saints. So let's jump back quick to look at that. Oh. The list of patron saints and index of saints are easy to find in the back. Starts on page 437 is that. And it's alphabetical. So accountants, Matthew. Actors, Genesis. So Genesis. I can't say that. Advertisers, Bernardine of Siena. Airmen, Our Lady of Loreto, Joseph of Cupertino. Air Travelers, Joseph of Cupertino. Altar Boys, John Birchmans. Anesthesius, Rene Gupo. Archers, Sebastian. Architects, Barbara. Art, Catherine of Bologna. Artist, Luke. Astronomers, Dominic. So it is alphabetical by profession. So how many pages are there of that? These pages back here. Oh, that first one's not numbered. So it's just page 439 and 440. So it's not completely exhaustive listing. And then we have the index of the saints. It says the index which follows is based upon that in the least complete edition of Butler's Lives of the Saints. The names of the Beati, however, have been omitted. The other entries have been updated to take account both of recent canonizations and also of changes in the Roman calendar. See the editor's introduction, page Roman numeral 8. Only those saints whose names are listed below in bold type are described in the body of the book. Interesting. So they have included many more saints. The saints that are listed in the complete 4-volume edition, I'm guessing, but only the ones who are bolded are in this edition. But it gives us the saint. Any variations on the saint's name are in parentheses, and then their feast day. So you can see we have a couple here that are definitely in this book. And so they're listed alphabetically, but it does also include the date. That is super handy. And there are immense number of pages of this. Starts on 443 and goes until 466. Is that really? Oh, 443. There for a second I was like, is that really 33? Because that's phenomenal. 23 pages just listing those out. Wow. Okay. So now let's grab one. Here, well, let's grab a nice short one, but someone perhaps that we don't all know. Now I'm just torn. Okay, we're going to go with St. Norbert. Oh, he's longer. He's longer than I thought. Man. How about St. Elmo? Maybe we'll do St. Elmo. Just look up today. This is going to air on July 14th. So whoever is there is there. I'm in June right now. Give me a second. July, here we're going. July 14th. There we go. Saint Camillus de Laelis, founder of the Ministers of the Sick in AD 1640. Camillus de Laelis was born in 1550 at, Boccianico in the Abruzzi when his mother was nearly 60. He grew to be a very big man, 6 feet 6 inches tall, and the rest in proportion. And when he was 17, he went off with his father to fight the Venetians against the Turks. But soon he contracted that painful and repulsive disease in his leg that was to afflict him for the rest of his life. In 1571, he was admitted to the San Giacomo Hospital for Incurables at Rome as a patient and servant. After 9 months, he was dismissed for his quarrelsomeness, among other things, and he returned to active service in the Turkish War. Though Camillus habitually referred to himself as a great sinner, his worst disorder was an addiction to gambling. In the autumn of 1574, he gambled away his savings, his arms, everything down to the proverbial shirt which was stripped off his back, in the streets of Naples. The indigence to which he had reduced himself, and the memory of a vow he had taken in a fit of remorse to join the Franciscans, caused him to accept work as a laborer on the new Capuchin buildings at Manfredonia, and there a moving exhortation which the guardian of the friars one day made him completed his conversion. Ruminating on as he rode upon his business, he at length fell on his knees and with tears deplored his past, unthinking life, and cried to heaven for mercy. This happened on Candlemas Day in the year 1575, on the 25th of his age. He entered the novitiate of the Capuchins, but could not be admitted to profession on account of the disease in his leg. He therefore returned to the hospital of San Giacomo and devoted himself to service of the sick. The administrators, having been witnesses to his charity and ability, after some time appointed him superintendent of the hospital. Camillus, grieving to see the unscrupulous and slackness of hired servants in attending the sick, formed a project of associating for that office some of the attendants who desired to devote themselves to it out of a motive of charity. He found several persons so disposed, but met with great obstacles in the execution of his design, particularly that from jealousy and suspicion that are so often provoked by disinterested reformers. To make himself more useful in spiritually assisting the sick, he resolved, with the approval of his confessor, St. Philip Neri, to receive holy orders, and was ordained by the vicegerent of Rome, Thomas Goldwell, Bishop of St. Asaph, that exiled last bishop of the Old English hierarchy. A certain gentleman of Rome named Firmo Calvi gave him an annuity of his title of ordination. Camillus decided to sever connection with San Giacomo and start his own, though to do so was contrary to the advice of St. Philip. So with 2 companions he laid the foundations of his congregation. He prescribed certain short rules, and they went every day to the great hospital of the Holy Spirit, where they served the sick with affection and diligence. And it does go on. It's very exciting. How does that obedience or disobedience work out? I don't know. It's very exciting. I want to read more about it, let alone the larger volume. Was that obedience? Was that disobedience? How does it all work out? I want to sit here and read this. I actually do need to get lunch, so maybe I'm going to grab my lunch and dive back into this book. I hope this review has blessed you. If you want to know more about it, let me know. I did see others of these on this bookshelf, so I feel like there are probably more of them out there. Go ahead and search for them. Again, I gave you all the details. I'll try and include it. I'll try and find this on one of the major retailers and link it below so that you know which edition exactly I'm referring to. So exciting. I was just excited to be able to afford a Butler's Lives of the Saints in any form. I don't know about you. I've meant to do it for years and just haven't gotten up the courage to buy the big one. And yeah, this is inspiring. I've got a year's worth of Saints here, so I've got plenty of time to start saving up my pennies. God bless you, friends.